Hi everyone, in this lecture we are going to change grid line names. So far we know how we can move around grid items. We are going to move around grid items, but mainly the focus of this lecture is to change grid line names. So the grid line names, they are changed within the grid container definition, because they're a part of the grid container properties. But they're not properties, they're so-called property values. So here in the grid container, we have grid template columns and grid template rows. There is no exceptions when it comes to naming for columns and rows. You could do it for columns. You could also do it for rows. It doesn't really matter. But we could provide them in these lines individually, but we could also provide one line name for columns, and that line name will be repeated for all the columns, be that the first column, second column, or the last column. The difference is going to be the number that will be automatically supplied to that name that we provide. So what do I mean by that? So within the repeat function, I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in again. So here is a repeat function. We know all about this. Within here, we know what the syntax for line names is. We have already talked about it. And I'm going to say column start. So the starting line name has to be provided before the dimension for the column. In this case, the dimension for the column is going to be 1FR, and the ending has to be applied after the dimension. It is so simple. So column line 1, the first line for the column tracks is going to be column start. And then the second one is also going to be column start. The third one is also going to be column start. So all of them have column start. And starting from the second line, all of them are also column end. How do you distinguish between these two? Between which column it is that you're actually trying to change the grid item into that column? How do you do that? Is basically through through digits that will be provided to us by CSS Grid. First, let me do that for a row as well. So row start. After the dimension, we are going to say row end. Now, let's zoom out to our normal. This is very far. Now, this is our normal. So where is our element? Here is our element right here. Let's say we want to move it from here. We want to move it to to the place where item 4 is located. So first, we need to activate our grid so we can see line names, and we are sure that it is going to be moved there. So now you need to keep in mind that you have to do this one step at a time when you're just starting out with changing grid items, changing the position of grid items. Because then if you just want to do it all, there is actually a shorthand that you can do it in one line of code. But if you're a beginner, that is not recommended. That is just going to confuse you further. So just go ahead and take it slow and take it one step at a time. By one step, I mean do it first for one row track, for one track, and then do it for another track. So first, I'm going to do it for column. So it is between line 4 and line 5. Let's see how we can do that. Here is where item number 8 is currently located. I'm going to comment. You know what? I'm going to keep this here. I'm going to select another item. Let's say we want to select item number 12, and let's bring it to here. Where is item number? Okay, 12 is there. Let's select item number 19. I'm going to say item number 19. First, I'm going to give it a background color, which is going to be light coral. So here is item number 19. Let's say we want to move it to item number 3. To the location of item number 3. I want the row to be different as well as the column. So let's say grid column start. The property is going to be the same, but the value is going to be different. So what is the start of the columns? It is column start. Let's just put it there. Now, for all of these lines, you could do column start, but except for the first one, for the remaining ones, you could do column end. Now, this is column start 3, right? So therefore, I'm just going to add 3. And then I'm going to say grid column end. and I'm going to say call dash end. What is the end? Where is the end? The end is 4. So I'm going to say 4. Let's save that. Now it has been moved to this column. It has been moved 3 and 4. Now you can see that here is grid column end. Here is the issue. The issue is that you can see that this item has been spanned by 2 columns. Why? Because you need to pay really good attention to this so you can understand what I'm actually saying. Now, here is our column. What is the starting number? The starting number is 3. Now, we said column start 3. It means that this is going to be the 3rd column, and it is going to be the starting of the 3rd column. Now, when we say column end 4, it means that it is the 4th column and it is the starting of the 4th column. That's why the ending line is exactly at the end of the column number 4. This is column 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So we say column number 3. Column number 3 has a starting and has an ending. So the start and the end must be the same number. It is different than what we used here, because in here we were just doing line names, but in here we're not doing line names. It is no longer line names. It is the name of the column. It is the where the column starts and where the column ends. So the column, each column has a starting point. Again, it has a starting point and it has an ending. The starting is this line and the ending is this line. Now, irrespective to these 2 names, 3 and 4, you need to come up with a way to basically identify this column and separate it from the rest. So this is column number 3. We say start from the start of column number 3 and end to the end of column number 3. That's what this means. And what about the row? We are going to say grid row start. So it is the first row. So I'm going to say row dash start 1. And I'm going to say row dash end 1. Let's save it and let's take a look at it. So this is 1. Okay, so they start, let's put it to 0, row start. Oh, oops, I did the same thing again. Row end, no, I didn't do that again. Let's just save it as 0. It's not, why isn't it moving up? So it's 1 and it's 2. This is the first row, second row, third row, fourth row, and that is the 5th one. Grid row. Oh, both of them are start. Sorry. This has to be end. I'm beginning to doubt myself. And now, this is exactly where we want it to be. I'm sure you understood the point. If you didn't, you could rewind. I'm just going to explain it one more time. So determine which is the column. What is the number of the column that you want to basically send your item to. Don't worry about what the line names are. We are moving beyond them. As far as the line names were concerned, you need to provide at least one number greater than the start. So the end has to be at least start plus 1. You could do more that would span the item as you just saw, but if you just wanted to take up one grid cell, you would just increment it by 1 for the end. But in here, we're talking about one column. So one column, which is this is the number of the column. It is either going to have a start, it is going to have a start and an end. No, either. Start and end. So we are going to say start of 3, end of 3. Now, in case you provided with 4, end of 4, this item is going to stretch. And it is going to end where the column number 4 ends. That's what this line means. So it says end where column number 4 ends, but I don't want it to end there. I'm going to say end where column number 3 ends. So this one is going to be start where column number 1 starts and end where column number, start where row number 1 starts and end where row number 1 ends. Again, just one more time. Start where column number 3 starts and end where column number 3 ends. That's it. Very simple. See you in the next lecture.